This is lesson 119, and it's our last lesson for the year. It's crazy. So you're going to find a whole when you know a percent. So the first part they give you, 30% of the fans are waving banners. 150 people are waving banners. So I know that 30% of something equals 150. So I kind of said 30% equals 150, but that's not really accurate. What I want to say is 30% of some total is 150, and they want to know what the total, how many fans in all. Okay, so I'm going to go back to lesson 117 where we talked about how to make it into an equation. So one of the things you need to kind of brush up on maybe is remembering that 30% equals 0.30, so 30 out of 100, 30 hundredths. These things are easier with decimals than they are fractions, so I'm going to change, instead of changing it to 30 over 100, I'm going to change it into 3/10 or 30 over 100. So I'm going to write my equation this way. 30%, same thing, so 3/10 or 30 hundredths, times something equals 150. Remember, of means multiply, is, or in all is, hang on, let me do that again. 30% of some total, so that's my unknown, is 150. So there's my is equals, and there's my number that they gave me. So 30% of some total is 150, okay? Some total, I just used a T. My lowercase t looks like a plus sign, so I used an uppercase T. Okay. So remember, I want to get t by itself. I want to get rid of anything attached to the t. So I had my 3/10. If I divide by 3/10, does that turn into 1 so I can cancel it out? So I have to do the same thing to this side of the equal sign and this side of the equal sign. So I divide by 3/10 on both sides. That goes away, so I just have a t left. Then I have 150 divided by 3/10. So I can come down here and set up my problem. Remember, the top number always goes in the box. It's the dividend. There's your divisor. Have my decimal. I can't have a decimal in the divisor, so I move it over one. Whatever I do here, I do here. So over, and then up. So that changes to 1,500 divided by 3. And I see that that's 500. So T equals 500 fans in all. If you wanted to use a little box to break it down, I know that 3/10 is 150. So how much is in each box? If 3 of them are 150, I know that there's 50 in each box. It's starting to look like a so, isn't it? I'll try to make my 5s better. Those are all 50s. There are no so's. Okay, so in all, I have 50 times 10, or 500, right? Okay, so that's easy. And I say it's easy, and it is, but you have to practice it. Those writing equations from word problems, this is definitely a skill you have to practice. This is something that you're going to use when you're in the store and you see a shirt on sale and you want to know, oh, 30% off. What was the original price? Or you'll use this. This is, my husband used to call me when he was a reporter and say, I don't know how to do percents. This is how you do percents so much of the time. Okay, example 1 says 30% of what number is 120? Okay, so let's make that into a math sentence. So we have an English sentence. Now we need a math sentence. 30%, 3/10 of means multiply. Remember, I can use a dot. What number? So I'm going to use an X. Is, and that's the number they gave me. So now I have a math sentence, right? Okay, I want to get rid of whatever's attached to the X. So I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides of the equal sign, this side and this side, by 3/10. That goes away, doesn't it? Because it becomes 1. So I'm really just saying 1 times X. So I don't have to worry about that. So now I have X equals 120 divided by 3/10. And I'm going to move my decimal over move my decimal over, fill in the empty hole with a 0, and bring it up. Rewrite my problem just because that looks messy. And I see that I have 400. So let's go back and check. 30% of 400 is 120. Does that kind of make sense? So part of some bigger number is 120, right? So part of 400 is 120. So yes, that makes sense. I always like to check back and make sure I didn't mix something up. If you follow this format, it's pretty easy. You don't have to think about it quite as much. But you still ought to check your work. You can still use the boxes, do the same thing we did before, if you prefer that. This next one's going to be a little bit harder to use the boxes, but you can still use them. So this is example 2. And now we're not on 30% anymore. Now we're on 25%. Now we could do this with, like, I don't know, 17%. So you could do it with whatever you want. We're making it fairly nice, even chunks right now. Okay, so let's write our math sentence. 16, so I'll change that, is 25%. Remember, those 2% sign, those 2 zeros in the percent mean I move my decimal over like that. So that's 25 out of 100, and that's 25 out of 100, right? Of means multiply, and my first name is Nan, so I'm going to use an N this time. I can use whatever I'd like. Okay, so now I have math sentence, easy to use, right? Want to get rid of this because it's attached to the N. I want to say N equals something. I don't want to say N times something equals something, so I just want to know what N is. So let's get rid of that and get rid of that. Okay, that goes away. N equals 16 over 0.25. Does that look a little weird because the N's on the right side instead of the left? It doesn't make one bit of difference. You can do it either way. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. Over, and now I'm going to have to go over. See how I moved that 2 times? I have to move that 2 times and then come up. And I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it because you don't have to. I do because my writing's messy. Okay, well, 25 won't go into 1. 25 won't go into 16. Will 25 go into 160? Yes, okay. It will go in how many times? Let's see, 4 times in 100, 125, 150, so 6 times. And 4 times in 100. So I know that N equals 64, right? I was going to start singing the song when I'm 64, but I won't. If you wanted to check that with the boxes, you know that 25% is 1/4, same amount. So I'm going to break this into 4 equal-ish boxes. And I know that they said 16 is 25%, right? So, or 1/4. So I know there's 16 in each box. So 16 times 4 is 64. So I got the right answer. Okay, so play around with it. This is one lesson that I'd like you to do the practice set until you really get this. And it might leave you over the summer, but it'll come back a lot quicker in 6th grade. And this will really help you as you get into some of the pre-algebra stuff next year. So that is our last lesson. My gosh, I'm going to miss doing this. And you guys, email me if you have questions, as always. And I hope your summer is just wonderful. Maybe we'll all get to go out soon. Okay, take care.